Morning, welcome to Simple Italian. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do portobello mushroom risotto, and I'm going to saute some grilled shrimp on the side and add them on top for a beautiful garnish. So we're going to get started. A little plug to my big brother up in heaven. He was a Sinatra singer, so I have him playing in the background for me. So he's going to be with us on set today, in spirit, I'm sure. Okay, so what I have here, I have 3 cloves of garlic, some celery, some carrot, and about a half an onion, half a medium onion, and I also have 3 baby portobello mushrooms, arborio rice, imported from Italy, and some shrimp which we're going to saute. Been thinking about him a little bit. His birthday was Christmas Eve, so I just figured he was also an actor. So we'll keep him on set in spirit, and in song actually. Okay, so we're going to chop this up. Coarsely chopped, not very fine. I'm going to add some olive oil to my pan. Okay, garlic down. Onion. We'll try and chop it a little bit on the finer side. With the rest of those broads. Sing it, bro. Okay, some celery. Let it soak. Again, the celery, we don't like big chunks. It will soften as it cooks, but we're going to give it a pretty good shot. A little bit more. Some carrot. By the way, this was his theme song, and this is actually how he lived his life. Okay, so now we're going to add some Italian parsley along with the garlic, carrots, celery, and onion. Some fresh Italian parsley. And we're going to get this started. And I'm going to start to saute these vegetables. And once they start to cook and the onion becomes translucent, I'm going to add the risotto and let it saute for a few minutes along with the vegetables before I add my chicken stock and water. So let's get this going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my portobellos. I'm going to cut them kind of small. We don't want them too small because when they cook, they tend to cook down a lot. So we'll cut them in, like a bite-sized piece, I guess you could say. Like so. I'm trying to do it real fast. There we go. Now, as soon as I add, shortly after I add the risotto to this pan, then I'm going to add the portobellos because I don't want to smash them up into tiny pieces and have them overcooked. And so we're going to let this keep going for another minute or two. Vegetables are done, not done, but they're cooked enough. The onions are translucent, garlic is starting to brown. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add to this. I'm going to add a cup and a quarter of the arborio rice. And I'm going to let this just kind of saute with the vegetables a couple minutes. just to kind of get started. And then I'll add my chicken stock and water, and then I'll add the portobellos. We're going to let that saute for a few minutes. I'm going to add just another splash of olive oil. We don't want it too dry. Okay, so we're going to let that go for a minute or two here, and then we'll add the chicken stock and then the portobellos. Okay, so as you can see, the risotto is just starting to kind of toast, if you will. So I'm going to add my chicken stock. I'm going to add a cup right to this. I'm going to turn the heat down to about medium. And I'm also going to add a cup of water. Now this is going to, as it cooks along, you may have to add a little bit more water because it tends to really soak up the water. But we're going to let this kind of do its thing for a few minutes. So the risotto is almost cooked. It's a little more than halfway there. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to add the portobellos that I cut before. Add them right in there. Again, we don't want to break them up too much. Let them kind of cook and get soft in there on their own, basically. And what I'm going to do now also is I'm going to season this pretty generously with some salt, and some fresh cracked pepper. Now, there's so many things that you could do with this. I mean, you can make it so many different ways. I love it like this with portobellos, and I'm actually going to finish it with some butter and grated pecorino romano, which makes it kind of nice and creamy and salty and gives it all that goodness. But you can add fish in there. You can chop up some shrimp, put some shrimp in there, put some clams in there. You can make a seafood risotto. You could just make a plain risotto. This is more like, it has the vegetables and it has portobello, so I call it portobello mushroom risotto. And then I'm going to add some shrimp on top, whole shrimp that I'm going to saute separately in a minute. But there's so many different things that you can do. You can add some hot pepper. You can do so many different things with it. And it's just fantastic. Very easy to work with. Takes a little while to cook. As the videos that we shoot here, because of the fact that we edit them, they're much shorter, only so that you're not watching it for 40 minutes. But the risotto will take a little bit longer because it has to cook. So what we do is we edit it down, obviously, so that you're not watching this for 45, 50 minutes. But the risotto takes about 25 minutes or so to cook, maybe 30 minutes, because you don't want to cook it too high. You want to let it cook a little bit slower. So I have it on like a medium low boil right now, and it's actually coming together very nicely. It's almost done. So I'm going to go ahead and let this cook for a few more minutes, and then I'm going to saute my shrimp, and then we're going to plate it up and see how it comes out. The risotto is just about cooked. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of butter. I'm just going to make it nice and creamy, and it'll sweeten it up a little bit. And I'm going to add about 3 teaspoons of grated pecorino. And it's going to give it such a nice creamy. Turn my heat down because it's done actually. You don't want to overcook the risotto either, otherwise it gets very starchy. There's a very fine line. If you go too far, it's going to be very starchy and thick, not taste real good. At the same point, you don't want it too hard, too al dente. So you have to really check it at this point. I've checked the seasoning and the salt and the pepper, everything seems fine. So I'm going to turn it down and hold it right here. At this point, I'm actually going to put a cover on it to keep some steam in. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat my pan, and I'm going to saute a few shrimp with olive oil, garlic, and parsley, and then I'm going to add them to the risotto after we plate it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add my shrimp to the pan. Oil should be nice and hot like that is. I'm going to add a little garlic and fresh parsley. It's almost like a scampi. Some salt. And a little cracked pepper. Now I'm just going to saute these for a couple of minutes. Okay, so we're just going to flip the shrimp real quick. You can see how quickly they change in color. Garlic is nice and brown, so it's going to give it a... You don't want to burn the garlic either. And those are basically done. We're going to hold those for about 2 minutes until we plate our risotto. Our risotto is done. Shrimp are done. What we're going to do now is plate this. Now it's nice and creamy. And you can see the vegetables. You can see the portobello mushrooms. Plate that in the center of the plate. We're going to take the shrimp. We're going to adjust these in 1 second. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fix my shrimp here, make them look a little prettier. One in the middle. And then you always, even if you're home, you always want to garnish your plate a little bit to make it look nice. Give it a nice presentation, and there you have it. Now, the big taste test, as always. So I'm going to cut shrimp in half. Fork full of shrimp, risotto, piece of the shrimp. Oh man, it's unbelievable. So much flavor. You know me, I'm the flavor guy. You have to season everything. And that butter and cheese at the end just makes it nice and creamy, and the grated pecorino gives it such an extra kick. It's fantastic. So that's our show for today. Hope to see you next time.